Hi, welcome back to Chess Today. In this video, I want to show you the immortal game of Magnus Carlsen. In this game, Magnus played against Ernst, a Dutch grandmaster. Carlsen start the game with e4. Ernst responds with c6. This is Caro-Kann defense. Magnus pushed d4 to control the center, and Ernst pushed d5 to attack the pawn. After that, Magnus developed his queen's knight to c3. Pawn take on e4, and knight take on e4. After that, Ernst played bishop f5, attack the knight. This is Caro-Kann defense classical variation. Knight retreat to g3, counter-attacked the bishop. So, the bishop retreat to g6. After that, Magnus Carlsen pushed pawn to h4, preparing to trap the bishop. But Ernst pushed pawn to h6, make an escape square for his bishop. The next move, Magnus developed king's knight to f3 and Ernst responded with knight d7. Magnus decided to push h-pawn again, so black's bishop had to retreat to h7. After that, Carlsen offered to exchange light square bishop. Ernst accepted to exchange the bishop, and Magnus captured black's bishop using his queen. The game continued with e6. Ernst prepared to develop dark square bishop, and Magnus Carlsen developed his bishop to f4. After that, Ernst developed king's knight to f6. In this position, Magnus Carlsen castling kingside, and he have developed all his pieces and connected his rooks. Ernst released his bishop to e7 and prepared to castling kingside. Magnus Carlsen responded by knight e4. In this position, Ernst delayed the castling. He chose to develop the queen to attack the pawn. After this move, black has two options to castle. Magnus responded to this move with king b1 to protect the pawn. And after that, Ernst castling kingside. Now, we have entered the middle game. In this position, Magnus decided to exchange the knight. After knight take on f6, Magnus develop another knight to e5. This is an octopus knight. This knight give high pressing on black's defending line. Ernst respond with rook a to d8, shadowing the queen. So, the queen retreat to e2 to avoid the danger. This is an equal position. Ernst make initiative to push pawn to c5. This move make Magnus Carlsen slightly better. In this position, Magnus released his power. He sacrificed his knight. Ernst accept this sacrifice, but after that Magnus Carlsen captured e-pawn. Attack the king and the bishop at the same time. Ernst did not protect his king and bishop with his rook because h-pawn will capture in g6. So, the king had to move to h8. After that, Magnus didn't capture the bishop. He chose to capture the pawn and open h-file for his rook. Ernst defended with knight g8. But Magnus Carlsen sacrificed his bishop. If knight take bishop, then rook capture the knight. And after pawn take rook, queen will capture the bishop. This is forced checkmate in 4 moves. Ernst was not give up. He captured the bishop with pawn. But Magnus Carlsen make another brilliant move. Magnus sacrifice his rook. If the king tried to escape to g7, then checkmate with rook h7. So, knight had to capture the rook. But after that, Magnus Carlsen take bishop, threatening checkmate on h7. Ernst tried to avoid checkmate and sacrifice his knight. And Magnus capture the knight with pawn. In this position, we can see that Magnus only have 2 pieces left. Ernst activated his king to attack pawn. And Magnus Carlsen made a rook lift to d3. If rook take pawn, this is forced checkmate in 4 moves. Rook g3, king h8, queen h4, rook h7. But after queen f6, rook had to move to cover the king. and checkmate in the next move. So, Ernst tried to trick Magnus. He make a trap. He sacrifice his rook. If queen take rook, then queen e1. Rook had to cover the king and checkmate in the next move. Black win easily. But Magnus could not be tricked. In this position he played rook g3. Check. Ernst cover it with rook g3. But Magnus attacked again with queen e5. There are 3 escape routes for black's king. If king move to h6, then rook h3. Checkmate. If king to h7, then queen h5. Black had to play rook h6, but another attack with queen f5. This forces king to h8 and after that queen e5. Even though rook cover the attack, black king could not survive because this is checkmate in 2 moves. Okay, we are back to the real game. Ernst tried with king take on f7, and Magnus chased the king again. But black covered the king and counter-attacked the queen with rook f6. After that, Magnus Carlsen end the game with queen d7. Checkmate. What a beautiful game played by Magnus Carlsen.